Greetings everyone, I am Dimitrik and welcome to today's episode of Fryderykraft. This episode is a special episode as we are approaching our 5-year anniversary on the server, so I have planned a very special project for this episode that I probably should have done a long time ago, but as this is a special occasion, I have planned it for this episode because we have to start it at some point. Now, this world with the city and everything is only around 3.5 years old, but the entire server goes back to July of 2020, where we had older world, which was the actual beginning. So that's when we celebrate the anniversary. So it is 5 years of the server running, and we reset it in 2021 for the Caves and Cliffs update, and that is the world that we play in today. But we still celebrate it as a 5-year anniversary. So, what are we doing in this episode? Well, you see, here is the old City Hall, which is very nice, but it is a very small building. So, what we'd like to go over here and do is we go take a look this way, we come to this grand building that is under construction and has been under construction for over 3 years now. So something that I would like to do is to do some more work on it. We did do some work on the last episode, but here we will do a lot more work. In fact, we'll be starting the inside. With the scale of the City Hall, you can see how it has been such an overwhelming project for a long period of time, but here I will actually start to complete it up a bit. So some of the things I plan to do is add some copper spires coming out of each of the corner towers and a large central tower in the middle. But before we do any of the roofs and stuff, I would like to have a small start with the interior where as soon as we enter, we will have a grand room in the middle where we have lots of columns and vaulted ceilings so that we have a nice grand entrance to anyone who enters our beautiful city hall. So I have a lot of resources over here, and a lot of these were actually from the original new City Hall, which we actually took down and remodeled. It looks very similar to what we have now, but it is a little bit different, and not all the materials that were in that building or got repurposed, so we do have a nice start, but this will be a very expensive project and will take a long time. But as this is the 5-year anniversary, I must get it done. So, nice start. We will get the central hall with the columns made, and I will get back to you when we have done that. And now that I have finished, we can take a look inside of the city hall where I have built this small little gate room right here before you enter the actual building. So after we open this door right here, we are greeted with another door, and then behind this we have the grand colonnade where we have lots of vaulted ceilings and beautiful columns in this large grand room right here. I have added some lighting so that mobs don't spawn in, and we have some staircases on either side to go up to this first floor up here, and these will eventually lead down to the cellar layer, but here we have our beautiful main entranceway, which I think turned out very nice. Now for the next bit of the episode, we are coming back outside, and before we do any more of the interior, I would like to turn around and finish up the exterior of the city hall almost completely. So we aren't doing the copper finishings on each of the corners yet, but what I would like to do is get a roof onto the building so that rain doesn't get into it, and finish up the exterior as well as building up this central tower right here. So for the central tower, it will look very similar to how it looked pre-renovation, where we had a tower here and two small little cupolas on either side. It will look almost the same, but there are some minor differences. So I will get to building up the roof and the tower, and we will come back once that is finished. And with our roof built, the exterior of our City Hall is nearing completion, and with the tower and our two cupolas built, all we have to do next is to add the copper finishings to the City Hall. And with the tower added, it has become one of the most prominent features of the city. And if we take a fly back through here, you can see that it is one of the most and if we get back here to the end of this major street here, we can see that the tower is one of the most recognizable and important features of the city, becoming a beacon to the central core of the city. Now, it is time for us to go back inside. Before we finish the exterior, we can go back inside, and the next part of the episode we will be doing some work into these side rooms over here, where we will have like a room right here that will lead to a staircase that will take us up to this main floor up here. So that is what we will be doing. We will be building extra rooms on either side of our main hall to take us up to the rest of the city hall. So after some building, I have gone ahead and built this side room over here, but due to time restraints on when I have to open the city hall for the anniversary, I have not yet done this side, but I will complete this in the future. It's just that to open the city hall in time for the anniversary, I just needed to make one space so that we could have a staircase that leads up to the main floor. So here we have this little holding room that takes us to many other rooms. I have blocked off the entrances to the other areas, as those areas will not be completed in time for the opening of the city hall. So here we just have walls where there would be an entrance. But here is the room, and we have this entrance over here which takes us up to this staircase room, which take us up to the main floor. So here we just have the standard color palette for the rest of the city hall, where it's mostly just stripped birch and sandstone. But here it is. I do have some lecterns here to make a very nice balustrade and some lighting so that mobs don't spawn, which has been a bit of a problem. But here we have our main staircase that takes us from ground floor to this floor up here, and I think it turned out very nice, even though the windows have made a little bit of a weird shape, as this one does protrude out from the other side. But I think it turned out great, and this will lead on over into the main area of the city hall. And I do also like the ceiling work that I have done. Now, the next thing we'll be doing is we will be making some rooms in this main floor. So I will actually be doing all of this at once, where I'll probably make around 5 or 6 rooms that connects this staircase all the way to the balcony over there, as this is the most important floor, and I would like access to the balcony as a bare minimum for the opening for the city hall. So that is what we'll be doing. I will be making lots of rooms to take us up from here all the way to over there. We're not allowed in here. So with some building done, I have done a lot of the interiors on this floor. Now, I did do a little bit more than the 6 rooms that I promised in the earlier segment of this video, so that is actually a good surprise. So we have this first room right here, which pretty much just takes us from the staircase into the main rooms of this floor. This is supposed to be a door, but it is currently blocked off as the rooms on the other side of this wall haven't been built yet. But it does take us over to this main hall area of the city hall, which is probably the largest room and the primary room of the city hall. You can go up here and there'll probably be like parties and whatnot held in this room. We can go over here, look out this window into the sea. Eventually there will be an elevated train line, so this will be one of the loudest, most unpleasant rooms to be in. But moving swiftly on, we come into this room, which is sort of another hallway, which also leads to the balcony area over here, so you get some nice views of the city. Coming back inside, we have these two rooms on either side. This one is magenta, and the other one is yellow, as magenta and yellow are the main colors of the server. They're identical other than the fact that the walls are different colors. And going into here, we have sort of this parliament room where all the city officials can meet up and do whatever they do in this room. Have some other large windows to let lots of light in. And we have these rooms on the sides to access these elevated areas up there for the spectators. And then we just have another one of these rooms over here and a staircase that leads to nowhere. And now that we have the interior mostly completed for us to open the City Hall, even though we don't have a lot of rooms such as like the basement layer, we will have to suffice with this just for the sake of time so that we can open the City Hall. So the final thing we must do to complete it for our anniversary is we need to add the copper finishings such as the domes and cupolas and spires to really complete the City Hall and make it as iconic as it was always intended to be. So the final building project for this episode will be to finish up the City Hall and we can finally have our anniversary celebration. With the spire topped off and the main square decorated for this occasion, the city is looking very festive for our 5-year anniversary. So we have lots of balloons and banners to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the city. We have this little market over here where you can go buy yourself a kebab. We even have this festive tent here of carbon monoxide poisoning. Better get out of there quickly. And we have the completed City Hall, which has been under construction for over 3 years now, but the renovation did start a little bit over a year ago, so the current structure has only been under construction for about a year, but it is finally complete, mostly, and it is my pleasure to finally open this building for public use. If you have made it this far, I thank you for watching, as this is a major accomplishment for me. If I, from 3 years ago, were to see this, he would be very proud, and even though this project took a long time, it is all worth it to have such a marvelous landmark in the city. The rest of the rooms will probably be quietly completed off camera, and I also give a special thank you to all the members of the server who make Fryderykraft extraordinary, as this would not be possible without them. And finally, I thank you, the viewer, for joining me.